Guess what, guys? There are actually Californians who regret moving to Utah. In this video, I'm going to give you 5 different reasons why people regret moving here and what you need to know before making that move yourself. If you're moving in from out of state, maybe it is from California or maybe it's from somewhere else, we're going to talk about a couple things that you need to know before making that move. So let's jump into it. What's up, you guys? It's Cody Steck. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. Like I said earlier, we're talking about 5 different things that you need to know before making a move here and 5 reasons why people regret making that move here, especially coming from California. So the first thing I want to talk about on our list today is going to be traffic. Traffic is starting to get worse here. However, it's not on the level that California has seen. Of course, California has some of the worst traffic in the country, and there's a lot of people out there who make the move here to Utah, to southern Utah, and they say, hey, you know, this is great. There's not a lot of traffic. But that is kind of changing. You know, we are starting to get more traffic here in the St. George area. There are especially a couple of roads and a couple of areas that do see really bad traffic, especially during rush hour. So that is something you have to account for. It's just because the area has grown so quickly that it's really gotten ahead of the infrastructure that's there in place. So there's traffic is getting a little bit worse. It's not like this traffic-free zone. And I think a lot of people, you know, kind of get here and they realize that, and that might be a regret of theirs. Now, the second thing I want to talk about here on our list is that Utah is a red state. If you've done your research on Utah and you've been looking into making a move here, or maybe you already have made the move, you should know that Utah is a red state. Now, there are parts of Utah that do lean left, specifically downtown Salt Lake, but as soon as you get outside of that, it is very right-leaning. It is a red state. Typically vote Republican, right? So that being said, southern Utah, St. George here specifically, is going to lean more red than a lot of people are used to. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. Some people move here and they love that, but other people, it can be a little bit surprising just because it can be a culture shock coming from California, which is obviously very blue, probably one of the most liberal states in the country, and moving here to Utah and you know, feeling and noticing something completely different than what they're used to. This can come as a bit of a shock. That being said, there are people on both sides of the aisle here in town or even just across the entire state, but it is, you know, typically about 60 to 65% Republican and, you know, somewhere in that 30 to 35%, maybe 40% that are leaning on the liberal side. So just something to note there. There are people who regret that, you know, because it's a big change from what they're used to. There's gonna be other people who are saying, you know, wahoo, that's a huge plus for me. And so that would be something that's exciting for them. Next up, I want to talk about the temperature, but before we do that, make sure to reach out to me if you're thinking about making a move here. My team and I service the entire state of Utah, and whether you're looking to buy, sell, invest in real estate, or maybe even build a home, we'd love to be your trusted real estate resource. My information is going to be here on the screen, so call, text, or email anytime, or there's a link in the description box below where you can actually schedule a call with me directly to see if we can meet your needs when it comes to buying or selling real estate anywhere here in the state of Utah. So let's talk a little bit about the temperature. Now, obviously, here in St. George, we do not have the temperature that you have in California. In St. George, it gets extremely hot and extremely dry. It's dry year round, but it gets extremely hot in the summer months. You know, from basically about June to, you know, even early September, it'll be 100 plus, you know, pretty much every single day. Unless there's a big storm rolling through or something, it's going to be basically 100 plus, and it's still going to be like 80 to 85 overnight. So it can still be very hot. It warms up very quickly. And, you know, for a lot of people, that can be unbearable. They make the move here thinking, I'm going to leave the weather that I had in California, but they don't expect it to be as bad as it is. Now, I do know that there's some parts of like the inland parts of California that do get really hot and can be really dry. So if you're coming from one of those parts, it might not be as much of a surprise, but if you're coming from the coastal areas, this could be a huge surprise for you. So here in Utah, as long as you can get through those summer months, you're generally pretty good. You know, the spring months, the fall months, and especially the winter months are actually really nice. It cools off nicely, and it can be a really enjoyable place where you can actually be outside year round during those months. Now, the fourth thing I want to talk about here on our list is going to be the decreasing affordability. If you moved here 5 years ago, you'd be able to get a really nice home for, let's say, 300,000, 400,000, 500,000, depending on what area you're looking at and how big of a home. Now, if you're coming from California, that would have been a huge plus, right? Because homes in California, in most areas, you know, especially where most of the population is, can be 6, 7, 8, 900,000 for a really small home. So you're getting a home here in St. George that's twice the size for half the price, but that has changed quite a bit, you know, over the last couple of years. Because of the COVID pandemic boom, we saw home prices increase increase insanely quick here in St. George. We saw home prices go from, you know, for a pretty medium priced home from like 3 to 4 to 500K all the way up to like 600 to 900K for that same exact home. So it's kind of crazy to see that home prices have gone up so quickly. And for a lot of people, they're looking at this thinking, man, I moved here thinking I was going to get a better deal, but now home prices are so expensive that maybe I'm really not getting a better deal on this house, and maybe that's not the best decision for me. So there's a lot of people who are looking at this and feeling surprised that such a small town, relatively speaking, has such expensive housing. And that's something that kind of pertains to the entire state of Utah. There's a lot of smaller areas such as like Park City or Moab where the real estate is actually really expensive. You wouldn't think it would be, but you know, it is. And it's just because it's such a desirable area to live overall. Now, the last thing I want to talk about here on our list is going to be the religion. Yeah, this is something we have to talk about when you're talking about Utah. Obviously, Utah is predominantly, there's a lot of people that are predominantly of the Mormon or LDS faith, and that's something that can be a big culture shock for a lot of people. Again, kind of like the politics or the temperature, if you've done your research on Utah, you should know that going into it. But for a lot of people, once they get here, they get immersed in that community and they, you know, start meeting people of that faith. Some people are going to say, whoa, this is a little bit different than I was expecting, and it's going to bring back a little bit of that culture shock. So I'd say most people, 90% of people, are going to actually really appreciate that, but there are going to be some people who just, you know, cannot seem to get past it and can't assimilate into it, you know, and so that's something I just wanted to bring up here in this video. For the most part, like I said, everybody moves here and they say, wow, I can't believe how nice these people are. They're super inviting, they're welcoming, and they're just great people to be around. So that's the general consensus of what people are going to see. But of course, you always get those 1 or 2 people that just say, you know what, I don't want to, you know, associate with that or anything, which is kind of unfortunate in my opinion. But, you know, here in Utah, it's just kind of a way of life. It's just something you kind of expect. Things are done a little bit differently because a lot of the state is kind of run or has some impact because of that faith and that religion. And so that's something that you have to kind of, you know, keep in mind if you are making a move here, or if you already have, you know, then that may be something different for you. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. If you've already made a move here to St. George, drop a comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you like, what you don't like, what you didn't expect. You know, just share your thoughts with me. I'd love hearing some feedback on that. The main thing that is really important to kind of keep in mind is that it is becoming more diverse each and every day because people are working remote now, and they have the freedom and flexibility to kind of, you know, live a little bit more freely and live in an area that they want to. It is becoming more diverse every single day, and there's more people coming from out of state than ever before. So I think that will continue to happen, and that will ultimately be a really good thing, I think, for everybody involved. So with all that being said, guys, thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to reach out to me if you're thinking about buying or selling real estate, maybe investing in real estate, or even building a home. We'd love to help you. My team and I service the entire state of Utah, and my information is here on the screen, and you can schedule that call with me in the description box below if you'd prefer to do that. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to share this video with a friend or a family member. And with all that said, we'll catch you in the next one.